Hey everyone, Julian here. As you can see today, I'm back in my old studio with an old school style video. Today we're going to be talking about how to make modern deep micro house in the style of ANOTR. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that from this video is available at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, let's get started. So, the first thing that we have up here are the chord steps, which start with this main one, which sounds like this. So, what's happening here is we're in the key of G sharp minor, and if we fold this, you can see these are all notes that are in the G sharp minor scale, like we have G sharp, a D sharp, which would just be the fifth, another G sharp, a C sharp, which is the fourth, another D sharp, an F sharp, which would be the minor seventh, an A sharp, which is the ninth, B is the minor third, and then just more of those other voices. So yeah, all just stuff inside of the G sharp minor scale. The idea with this is just to create something that kind of has like some nice movement and creates a lot of nice like groove. And you can also see, like, we're getting kind of a few different sounds out of it because you have this part where it's, like, very quick and stabby. But then you have that part where it goes, like... So it's just kind of, like, you know, playing with the sound and different chords and the automation, too, to really, like, get a lot out of this one sound. Now, for the sound here, it's made inside of Operator. It's just a saw wave with a sine wave, doing a little bit of FM on there. You can see the sine wave's an octave up. I have a little bit of a pitch envelope on that as well, so if I turn off the filter, you can really hear that. It makes it just kind of quickly, like, into the sound. And then I have a bandpass filter on there with an envelope, and you can see I also have the key tracking turned up, and then what we're doing here is I'm automating the filter frequency. Just to kind of like open and close a little bit, you know, subtle movements just to kind of bring it to life. It feels a lot more interesting if it's kind of like dun dun dun. And you know, building in and out like that. And then over here we get like that full opening. Then we just have a bit of chorus and a bit of echo as well. You can see the echo is on 16th notes. And then we just have a bit of drum bass, which fattens this up and makes it just a bit like more punchy and full sounding. And then finally we just have a high pass filter. Then we have the second chord, which sounds like this. So this one is just like a quick sort of like, you know, it fades in, like you get this. It's sort of like the contrast between this and the main chord, because the main chord is very quick and tight, and this is just kind of like a whoop. And so for the chord that this one's playing, it's actually the same chord that you see over here with the first chord. Like in that part right there. It's the same notes. It's just this G sharp minor chord with some extra voices where you can see like, so basically the regular G sharp minor chord would be this. And then we add in this ninth. And then just another root note up top. And for the sound with this one, this is made with analog. It's just a square wave and a saw wave detuned a little bit. They're an octave apart. And then those are going into a bandpass filter with a bit of attack on it. You can see I've got the envelope turned up, so that's what's making it like fade into the sound a little bit. We have the amp envelope doing that as well. And then I just have a bit of vibrato and a bit of unison. Those just kind of like add a little bit more flavor and character to the sound. Then we have some chorus as well as a bit of reverb, giving the sound some space. You know, that reverb sounds nice. You get like a... And then you just hear it ring out. Then we have a bit of drum bass to fatten this one up and make it a bit more crunchy. And then finally, I just have this one being sidechained to the kick to make it kind of pump up even more. And then we have this last chord layer, which sounds like this. So this one's really simple, and it actually, like, if you were hearing this in the track, you might even just think it's part of that main chord, but here's what this sounds like with that. You can hear it just creates a bit of groove there when you get that like dun dun dun. And what this is, it's actually pretty similar to that first chord. You can see, however, this one is made with 2 sine waves instead of a saw wave and a sine wave. But same thing, second one's an octave up. And then same deal also, a bandpass filter with an envelope. There's no automation on this one. I'll also show you the chords too. So you can see it's playing just this G sharp. Where, yeah, it's just G sharp, then G sharp an octave up, and then F sharp, which is the minor 7th there. And then you can also see I have that little, just kind of doubling up that last chord there, playing the same thing as the main chord. And yeah, then after the synth, we just have a bit of chorus on this one, a bit of echo as well, just on some 8th notes, so you get that kind of like, burn, burn, burn. And then we just have some drum bass, and that is it for the 3rd chord. Then we have our bass line. So this is actually a pretty simple melody inside of the G sharp minor scale. What's happening here is we're just using 5 notes here, so it's G sharp. Then it goes up to the minor 3rd, which is B. Then the 4th, which is C sharp. And then we go down to this 9th for 1 note. And then it's F sharp, which is the minor 7th. So yeah, just kind of like a simple little like walking up and then back down. And then it resolves really nicely, because when you go from the minor 7th right back to the root note on the 1, it just feels really like proper. And yeah, just a super simple and repetitive bass line, you know. It starts with 8 notes, and then you get a bit of syncopation. And this is really what you want, just like a simple, nice, powerful bass line like this. The sound is really simple for this one. It's just 2 saw waves, detuned a little bit inside of analog here, and then those are going into a low-pass filter with an envelope. The thing that really took some time with this one was getting the right envelope amount and the right like decay and sustain settings, you know. Because you don't want it to be too short or too soft, you know, you really want it to be like the perfect amount of low end coming through. And the resonance also helps with that. So you just want to take your time and make sure you really get the like right length and the right amount of envelope. And then we just have the amp envelope like that. And then there's just some drum bass on the hard mode, so you can hear it's actually hitting pretty hard. And then just the compressor side chaining this to the kick. Makes it a bit groovier when it's pumping like that. And then we have the kick. And so this is like your pretty standard sort of big fat 909 type of kick like you would hear in the style of track. I'm just taking this one and shortened a little bit of the tail there because it was a little bit too long. Sometimes the 909 kicks can have that, and you just need to do like a little cut. You don't want to do too much. Like you don't want to do like that. That's too much. But this is perfect. And then that's just going through some drum bass. Really simple, just a nice fat kick with a little bit of extra push to make it hit really hard. And then on the group of the low end, so I put the kick and the bass in a group together. This is something I do in a lot of these videos, but it's really the best way to sort of tie all these like similar elements together. You know, like we have the hi-hats in the group. And then all the low end stuff as well, because it's going to make everything kind of work together rather than just being like kind of, you know, the kick and the bass playing side by side. So these are just going through a bit of saturation. That's all you really need. Here's without it. And with it, you can hear it really helps these sound fat. And it's really like gluing them together too. To just make that really powerful full low end that ties the whole track together. Then we have the clap, which you can see I have this outside of any group. Usually I would put this with the percussion, like in this group. But sometimes it just works best on its own, and I just have that going through some drum bass. Really simple. This one is more about the type of clap you choose. You don't want anything that's too like big or distorted or anything like that, or too much of like a tsh. You want that very much like cracky, mid-rangey, like almost like a 909 or 808 style clap. And yeah, then we have our hi-hats. So we have this first hi-hat. This is the main open hi-hat that you hear. So that's just in there. I've shortened it a little bit as well with the amplitude envelope. Then we have this one, which you can hear plays underneath that main open hi-hat. And what it's adding is a bit of punch, because if you listen to the main one on its own, it obviously has the sound, but it doesn't really have that like the real transient to it. And this hi-hat is all transient. So I'll show you the open hi-hat without this hi-hat on top, and then with it. So you can hear where we add that. It just gives it a little bit more punch in a really organic way. Then we have the second hi-hat, which is just again like a 909 style. Just nice, like swingy. Then we have this tambourine, which is playing the same thing, and then you put those together, and you get a really full sounding little like background hi-hat loop. And then the last thing inside of this group is just this drum rack, which actually just has these percussions in it. And you can hear these are subtle, they're very much in the background, but they just add a bit of flow and groove and kind of like, I almost want to say like quirkiness to the beat. You know, it's just some nice, clean percussion that works really well, and it definitely helps to add that sort of like minimal house busyness to the beat. And also just kind of like, it fills it out, you know? And all this is, it's just in this drum rack here, it's being programmed into a MIDI file, and then I just have a high pass filter on that. And then on the group of all those hi-hats, we have a bit of drum bus. So here's without this. And then with it, you can hear it just ties it all together. Something that's important also with these tracks, I've noticed that these guys are really good at getting that kind of like classic texture, so to speak, to their percussion. Like, it really reminds me of a lot of classic, you know, Chicago and Detroit deep house, and just like a lot of classic house records in general. And really the best way to do that is to just put all your hi-hats in a group and process them as one, rather than, you know, try to get them each individually sounding that way and then to try to get them to come together. If you just put them in a group together, it's going to make the whole thing a lot more like full, and they're all going to have a more even texture. And it kind of goes with what I was saying with like the kick and bass too, just getting all the similar things to work really well together. And the final thing that we have down here is just this little effect sample. Which you can hear, this just hits every 2 bars, and this is really simple. It's just a little with some reverb, and the main purpose of this is just to kind of like keep the energy moving, you know? It's just a little subtle background thing that just makes it a bit more energetic than if you just didn't have it. Like, if you don't have it, it feels like the intro. But then when you add this, it's just that last little thing that's going to really make the track feel full and exciting and really professional. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that from this video is available right at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, thank you so much everybody, to everybody who's been picking up these samples lately. It really supports me and helps keeps me going so I can show you guys a bunch of new techniques and a bunch of new styles of music every day on here. And yeah, thank you so much for your support, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.